People laugh at Katt Williams, but that's never been the whole story. Because the moment the laughter fades, what you're left with is something much heavier. A man who refuses to play along in an industry built on silence, shortcuts, and selective truth. Katt Williams didn't just become famous for jokes. He became famous for saying things other people were scared to even think. And that's exactly why chaos follows him everywhere he goes. From the very beginning, Katt never fit the Hollywood mold. While others were polishing their image, learning what to say and what not to say, Katt was doing the opposite, pulling the curtain back, even if it meant burning bridges in the process. He wasn't loud by accident. He wasn't reckless by mistake. He was intentional. In an industry where survival depends on staying quiet, Katt chose confrontation, and that choice came with a price. Early in his career, Katt Williams rose fast. Stand-up specials that went viral before viral was even a thing. Sold-out shows, movie roles, television fame. But even at the peak of success, something felt off. While other comedians used their platforms to play it safe, Katt used his to call out names, systems, and power structures. He spoke about gatekeepers, about exploitation, about how fame isn't earned. It's granted, often with invisible strings attached. Most people dismissed it as comedy. Others called him unstable. But Katt kept repeating the same message year after year, regardless of the consequences. And the consequences came fast. Suddenly, the headlines changed. Arrests, court appearances, mugshots circulating online. Every incident was carefully framed to make him look unhinged. Each story reinforced the same narrative. See, this is what happens when you don't behave. But here's the uncomfortable question no one wanted to ask. Why did Katt Williams seem to self-destruct only after he started exposing uncomfortable truths? Hollywood has always known how to control the story. When someone steps out of line, their credibility is the first thing attacked. Make them look crazy, make them look dangerous, make them look unreliable. Because once people stop trusting the messenger, they stop listening to the message. And Katt became the perfect target. Instead of debating his claims, the industry mocked him. Instead of addressing his warnings, they amplified his mistakes. Every stumble became proof that he was losing it. But Katt never stopped talking. In interviews, he doubled down. He spoke about contracts that trap artists, about how some careers skyrocket while others mysteriously stall, about how certain people are protected no matter what, while others are sacrificed. To many viewers, it sounded like paranoia. To others, it sounded familiar, especially when similar stories started coming out years later from different voices, different backgrounds, all saying eerily similar things. But by then, Katt's reputation had already been cemented. The problematic comedian, the troubled star, the what could have been. And yet, despite everything, he never apologized for speaking up. That's the part people don't know how to process. Most celebrities, when pressured, backtrack. They clarify. They soften their words. Katt did the opposite. He leaned in. He accepted being laughed at, ridiculed, sidelined, because to him, silence was worse. And that's where the real divide begins. Was Katt Williams simply self-destructive, or was he paying the price for refusing to play a game everyone else pretends doesn't exist? Because here's the thing. Hollywood doesn't reward honesty. It rewards obedience. Those who follow the script rise quietly. Those who challenge it become cautionary tales. And Katt Williams became one of the loudest warnings the industry could offer. Every scandal surrounding him served a purpose, not just to damage his image, but to send a message to others watching. This is what happens when you talk too much. But the story doesn't end there, because years later, when people started revisiting Katt's old interviews, something unsettling happened. The things he warned about, the power dynamics he described, the behaviors he hinted at, they didn't sound crazy anymore. They sounded premature. And that realization forced a question many fans weren't ready to face. What if Katt Williams wasn't losing his mind? What if he was simply early? And if that's true, if even a fraction of what he said holds weight, then the laughter surrounding him takes on a very different meaning. Because maybe the joke was never Katt Williams. Maybe the joke was an industry that thought it could silence truth by destroying the person brave enough to speak it. And in the second half, we'll look at exactly what Katt said, who it threatened, and why so many people suddenly want to pretend they never laughed at him at all. What Katt Williams actually said matters more than how people reacted to it. Because when you strip away the jokes, the chaos, the headlines, what remains is a pattern. And patterns don't lie. Katt never claimed to be perfect. He never tried to sell himself as a saint. What he did claim was far more dangerous. He claimed the industry was fake. He spoke openly about how success in Hollywood isn't just about talent. It's about compliance. About knowing when to stay stay quiet, about understanding which doors only open if you agree not to question what's happening behind them. And he didn't say this once. He said it consistently, for years. Long before social media made exposés trendy, Katt was warning people about how fame works like a contract with hidden clauses. You get money, attention, power, but in exchange, you give up your voice. And if you don't, you get replaced. Or worse, you get erased. At the time, people laughed it off. Katt is paranoid. He's bitter. He fell off and needs attention. But then something interesting happened. Other comedians, ones who were considered stable, professional, respectable, started hinting at the same things, carefully, casually, almost afraid. They didn't say names. They didn't go too far, but the overlap was there. Stories about contracts that control behavior, about managers who decide who gets opportunities and who disappears, about how speaking up doesn't just hurt your career, it follows you. Suddenly, Katt didn't sound so alone. And that's when people started revisiting his past. Not to laugh, but to re-listen. They noticed how often his warnings aligned with future scandals. How many people he criticized later became untouchable controversies. How often he predicted that certain truths would surface once the timing was right. Timing, that's the key word. Because in Hollywood, being early is almost worse than being wrong. Say something too soon and you're dismissed. Say it too late and you're called brave. Katt said it too soon, and instead of debating him, the industry did what it always does best. It reframed him. They turned him into a spectacle. Every arrest became a punchline. Every outburst became proof. Every setback became confirmation that he was unstable. But instability is a convenient label. It shuts down conversation. No one has to address what you're saying if they can convince the world you're not worth listening to. And Katt knew that, which is why he stopped trying to be liked. He stopped trying to clean up his image. He accepted the role they gave him, the crazy one, and kept talking anyway. That's not weakness. That's defiance. Because here's the truth most people miss. If Katt Williams wanted an easy life, he could have had one. He was talented enough, funny enough, successful enough. All he had to do was play along, smile in interviews, avoid certain topics, laugh at the right jokes. Instead, he chose isolation, and that choice cost him everything Hollywood values: consistency, protection, status. But it gave him something else: independence. Years later, when culture started shifting, when audiences became more skeptical of celebrity perfection, Katt's words started aging differently. Clips resurfaced, interviews went viral again. People paused, not to laugh, but to think. Because the industry Katt described looked uncomfortably similar to the one being exposed today. And suddenly the question changed. It wasn't, what's wrong with Katt Williams? It became, what did he see that others didn't? Or worse, what did others see but were too afraid to say? That's when the laughter started to feel awkward. Because laughing is easy when you believe someone is lying. It's harder when you realize they might have been warning you. Katt Williams may never get the public apology he deserves. The industry doesn't correct itself that way, but history has a habit of softening its tone. It stops mocking. It starts re-evaluating. And when that happens, the people who were dismissed as unstable often become something else entirely. They become inconveniently honest. So the next time you see a clip of Katt Williams yelling on a stage or ranting in an interview, ask yourself one thing: is this a man losing control? Or is this a man who understands exactly how controlled everything else is? Because maybe Katt Williams wasn't trying to destroy his career. Maybe he was refusing to let it destroy him. And in an industry built on silence, that might be the most dangerous joke of all.